Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRFBets race of the day for Friday, September the 14th. We kick off the pick six at beautiful Belmont Park with race number 4, a maiden special weight at 6 furlongs on the Widener turf. Bet the pick six with a new DRFBets account. You get 300% the deposit match at bets.drf.com. Deposit 50, bet with 200. Here's the field. Some really nice pedigrees for these fillies, 3 and up, running for $75,000. You can access free formulator past performances for this first leg of the pick six at the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We take the field in post-position order. Mike, will start with the 1, Rarities, a $700,000 purchase, a full sister to the multiple Grade 1 stakes winner Palace. This filly showed good speed in her debut, dueled with the number 6 Alternative Energy, and finished just behind that horse. It is a race she can build on.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought she ran pretty well first time out. Obviously, Alternative Energy was the favorite in that race for Chad Brown, had already had some experience. This horse ran well in that race, I thought. Looked a little green to me. Couldn't get second at the end. The horse that won that race, Tap, was a pretty nice horse too. So I think all in all, that was the kind of debut that this filly, if she takes a step forward off of that, she's going to be really tough to beat, I think.
Draws the inside. You're right, Jose Ortiz aboard for trainer Graham Motion, and we'll take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. So no real surprises. We're expecting Rarities to be on the lead. We're expecting Alternative Energy to be close. We're expecting Special Thing, who is pressing in that race, to be up close as well. The number 2 is Cover Model. We see her at the back of this Timeform U.S. pace projector, and I thought, all things considering, it was your typical Shug McGaughey debut effort for Cover Model. She didn't break very well. She got a little bit of experience. She came with a late run. Are you surprised, though, that this half-sister to Grade 1 stakes winner Imagining, who I think won the Man of War, are you surprised that Shug isn't waiting to stretch this one out?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at her, you think certainly down the line they're going to go longer with her, but I don't have a real problem with him sprinting her again, just because in her debut it looks like she might need a little bit more racing. I thought, I'm with you. I think all things considered, she ran pretty well first time out. It wasn't the kind of race where you saw a bunch of horses closing, but she made up a little ground at the end of that race. I like that she was able to save ground in there, but she still ran on at the end of the race. She's another one in this race, but I think she's going to run a lot better this time. And in some ways, even though she finished behind a couple of these horses last time, I might rather have her in this race.
Shug McGaughey doesn't do this very often with turf sprinters second time out in their career, older ones at that, but he's 2 for 6 with a $3.46 ROI. But be cautioned, both of those winners, Mike, you're not going to like this, 7.5 furlong races at Gulfstream Park. You'd argue it's not a sprint.
Yeah, it's not a turf sprint, so I wouldn't even include that in the sample. Turf sprints are not 7.5 furlong 2-turn races.
Less than a mile sprint. Number 3 is Special Thing, who improved with LASIK second time out. It was nice to see the improved speed from Special Thing, but the stamina really wasn't there. She's a filly that has a beautiful pedigree, and one of these days, it's probably too early to give up on her. One of these days, she's going to figure it out. I just think that there are others in here that entice a little bit more.
Yeah, I felt the same way about it. That I don't think she's been terrible in her first 2 starts, but she hasn't done enough for me, especially against a field like this. I think this field is actually pretty good. Maybe down the line she gets better, but in this race, she was one of the few in here who I really was not interested in at all.
If the number 4 Dominance can show the same amount of speed on turf that she showed on dirt, that could change that Timeform U.S. pace projector drastically come post time. She's going out for a red-hot trainer in Jonathan Thomas, but I look at this pedigree, Mike, and I see a lot of dirt. Violence, still a little early, but 9% first-time turf. The dam's a half to a stakes-winning dirt sprinter and a Grade 3 place dirt router. This filly showed some ability in her debut on dirt at Tampa Bay, but now has to deal with the layoff and the surface switch.
Yeah, it's one of the things that bothered me a little bit about her is I didn't see the pedigree either. I really like her 2 races, though. I mean, I think she's run, but I don't like both of her races. I thought she ran really well first time out, though. I think she makes the front in this race. Her last race, I'm just putting a line through it because it looked to me anyway like something clearly went wrong with her in that race, and she just stopped in the stretch. I don't care about that one. I thought her debut was really good. I think she makes the lead in this race, and it's the one thing with Jonathan Thomas, so far anyway, he's just far and away a better trainer of turf horses, and in particular turf sprinters. I think this horse is going to run really well on Friday, and I think she's a very dangerous horse.
I'm using this horse as well in my pick six and multiple race wagers, and I think she'll be a good price with Johnny V up 10-1 on the morning line. Movie Maker, the number 5, is coming off an extended layoff. This is her first start of the year. It's a layoff of about 9 or 10 months. She ran, I thought, okay on the turf 2 starts back, considering she was in against Data Dependent, who came back to run second in a graded stakes race at Del Mar. That filly never seemed to move on after that. However, the layoff makes me want to watch one. She's now with Mark Henning.
I don't love the layoff either, especially because Hennig's numbers aren't great in this situation. But I think it's worth pointing out that Hennig had a winner here opening weekend at Belmont off this, a trainer change for this owner on the turf. So I think that's something to keep in mind. That I did think that this horse I think her best race is her debut. The only time she sprinted on turf, and I thought she ran well in that race, Dan. I think that was a pretty good field. She was wide the entire way. She was making up ground at the end. I liked that effort from her. And so I like her sprinting on turf again for the first time. The layoff bothers me. I'm using this horse at a price.
The 6 is Alternative Energy, beaten favorite in both lifetime starts for trainer Chad Brown, but she caught off turf both times. She finished ahead of 3 of these common rivals in that race on August the 19th, the race in which she battled with Rarities and then was able to hold on over that foe. She draws outside of Rarities, probably gets a good trip stalking the pace. Listen, her merits are fairly obvious on paper. She's got the connections, she's got the figs. She's just kind of underwhelming to me at a short price again.
Yeah, really nothing to add to that. I mean, she could obviously win this race. Maybe she improves again. I did think she took a little bit of a step forward in her second start, if only because she showed a little more speed. But, overall, I thought there were way more interesting horses in this race, especially when you consider price into the equation. So she's just one of those horses. Yes, she can win. I will let her beat me, though.
One of those better priced horses is the 7 True Yankee, and this is a horse that took money for Tim Hill's first time out. Bet down to 3-1 in a 10-horse field, and I thought she was coming with a good late run. I think that's a really underrated performance on paper. She'll be a good price because she goes out for these, low-profile, underrated connections coming off a Monmouth race.
Felt the same way about it. I like that he's shipping her into New York for a second start, too. I mean, she took money in that race. There were only 2 first-time starters in that field, her and another horse who was a huge price and did no running. So she took money into some experienced horses in that race, and I liked her when she put it. She looked green to me early. She didn't keep up with that field, like she wasn't going to run, and then they took her clear in the stretch, and she was making up ground the entire way, just missed third at the end, galloped out past the field. I think that's an underrated debut, and I like that Hills is shipping her into New York for a second start.
Conversely, the 8 Daddy's Melody took no money for her career debut going 2 turns at Saratoga. She was utterly dismissed at 29-1. I'm interested in your thoughts on that race. The pace doesn't look really fast, but it just looked like it was a collapse at the end. The horses that were in the top 5 after the first call ended up finishing in the bottom 5 at the end of this race. And I thought, all things considered, Daddy's Melody did a lot of work early, poked ahead in front between the 5/16 pole and the quarter pole, and then just got swallowed up late. I like the fact that the Lasix goes on for George Weaver. She's bred well enough as a daughter of Scat Daddy. I'm just not really a big fan of this cutback in distance.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't like these turnbacks. I hear what you're saying about that race, too, because it did feel like the pace fell apart at the end. I was just disappointed in the way that this filly ran. I mean, she took no money at all in that race. The horse that she was stalking on the lead in there was even a bigger price than she was, and she couldn't even get by that horse and just didn't finish at all. Maybe the turnback is what she wants, and maybe she needs Lasix and all those things, and obviously she'll be a price in this race, but I didn't see enough in that debut to get behind her in this race.
Third finisher from that race came back to run third again with a 68 Beyer speed figure at Belmont. Halsey is the 9. She's got a really nice pedigree. She's by Warfront. The Dam was a graded stakes winner on a synthetic surface. Halsey, really didn't do much running in her career debut, and she's another one that I want to wait for the stretch out.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I feel like she's one of those, listen, maybe she just needed her debut, but she's just one of those horses who just didn't run really at all in that race. And, I know Length earned a big figure for that race. She was turning back for Belmont in that spot. I'm just not sure how good I think Length is. She came back and ran here the other day. Her figure went way down and she finished third. We'll see what happens. I didn't like Halsey's debut, though.
30-1 on the 10 Valentine's Romance, a filly that is yet to finish ahead of another horse in her career, but she goes out for a sensational trainer in Jimmy Toner, who has had success, according to this formulator fact, with horses cutting back from routes to sprints on turf. We see 45% winners, a $5.22 ROI. That's nice for a 30-1 shot on the morning line. The problem is this filly just hasn't done any running yet.
Yeah, that was the problem I had with her too. I like Toner a lot, and I understand why he's going to cut her back in distance. She's out of that same race as Daddy's Melody. She just didn't run in that start. So maybe sprinting is what she wants, but so far she just hasn't shown too much.
Tapping Colors, the number 11, finished ahead of 3 of these, including Alternative Energy, who came back to finish ahead of 3 of these in her next start. Tapping Colors has all the fast races, and if you just look at her form lines, she's very, very logical. Then you realize she's a 5-year-old mare making her 8th lifetime start. You have to think that one of these other more lightly raced fillies is going to jump up with upside, while we probably have seen Tapping Colors' best race.
I mean, that's exactly how I would look at it, Dan. On the other hand, you're probably talking about a horse who, in a lot of ways, should be favored in here and probably won't be favored. So I feel like if you like her, maybe this is the kind of spot where you just want to stick with her and give her one more. I think she's run fine in her last 3 races. I don't think she's done anything special. I think she's run fine. I think those races probably make her the horse to beat in here, but I'm betting this race expecting somebody to step forward and be a little bit better than her.
We're looking for prices to kick off the Pick 6 in our DRFBets race of the day as we throw up our top selections. Mike, you like the 7 True Yankee, 15-1 on the morning line. Chris DiCarlo aboard. I think there is a chance for a pace in here, with the 4, 1, and the 6 being close. True Yankee, I think, can improve with normal second out maturity. And again, she got bet in that debut. Give us numbers.
Yeah, I think a lot of horses can really improve in this race, the lightly raced ones. I'm hoping she's one of them, especially at the price she projects to be. So I like her. And really, Dan, a lot of horses come in this race. I like the 7 True Yankee with the 4 and the 5. They're my main 3 horses. And so we'll see what happens. I'm going to be against Chad's Alternative Energy. The 1 and the 2 are the other 2 horses. Maybe it's backups for me and multis.
I want to give Daddy's Melody a chance with the addition of Lasix. I don't like the cutback, as we talked about, but I think we're going to get just a completely different running style this time, where she'll probably be run off her feet early, and maybe one late run is the way to go. There's a lot of synthetic in this pedigree, so I think Turf's the answer somewhere. We'll see if this Scat Daddy filly can improve. She's 12-1 on the morning line. Hot riding Manny Franco gets the mount. 8-11-6-4 for me. In DRFBets Friday's race of the day, it's the 4th at Belmont. Bet it with a DRFBets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com. Receive a 300% deposit match. An approximate post time for the kicker leg of the Pick 6, 3:09 Eastern. Good luck.